Hey, it's Chris. It's Saturday, and no, it's Friday, and I got a package in from the United Kingdom, from Germany. Long story short, I ordered a replacement Amiga 3000 power supply. Letter opener, and Mr. Jonathan shipped it to me. So with a little bit of the box cut open with the Klingon letter opener. Thank you, Batleth. Frost Cutlery, 1992. We have food. So we get to the food first. Party Ring Minis. Make every birthday party a party. Make every day a party with Fox's Party Rings. These colorful, crunchy mini iced ring biscuits are perfectly sweet. Treat, you know they're going to be delicious, and are made with Fox's expertise developed since 1853. High quality ingredients. We'll try those shortly. More tea cakes. We got some Tonya tea cakes. They're the marshmallow chocolate graham things. I got these from Retro 32. Now I have more. Thank you. More penguin bars. I love these things. They are the equivalent of like a Twix bar in the United States. Oh, yes, sir. The best thing ever. 2 Tonya caramel wafer biscuits. These are my favorite. I've already ate 2 packs because I'm a fat ass. My daughter's steaming at the mouth for this candy. Oh, wait a minute. Something big. Cadbury Dairy Milk. Oh, okay, so it's a Christmas thing where you peel off something and there's candy inside. So we'll hold off on that. This is the power supply thing I ordered. This is a keyboard for Project ZIF 500. All of this ran me $165. But thank you so much for the help. And the food. Food was free, and I appreciate that. Yep, made in Malaysia. It's a Mitsumi 500 keyboard. It's the 4-3, so it's not the earlier models. Thank you for that. I greatly appreciate it. The board. Now, this power supply. This was an a1k.org thing. This is a custom-made Amiga 3000 recreation power supply with headers for like fans and stuff. This will be on the inside in front of the hard drive area. Hard drive thing would sit like right here. All these custom dude things for like fans and other leads. But I figured it's Amiga, I'll support it, and I needed a 3000 power supply. Something was ATX. So this has all the, it's like laser cut. It's really top shelf quality. So Mr. Szymon Gosk, he designed this. It says enclosure replacement for the Amiga 3000 PSU. It's stainless steel, by the way. I talked to Mr. Jonathan and he enlightened me on it. This was an A1K post by Astynex, and it was for the Amiga 3000. Power supply replacement. He got a donor unit and did the measurements and science to do this 3D printed cable management thing. You strip this as a donor. Problem with this power supply is it has a SATA connector. This was cut because the cable that's inside you will solder to the board once you take this apart. You will need some more parts. Number one, I'm going to need the Amiga 3000 plug. It's still made, it's on Mauser. I'll link a description below with the part number. You're going to need to cut these out. And you're like, oh my god, what are all these signals? Well, you get different colors and they mean different things. Like the blue is like, I think you're -12, and orange is 5, yellows, no, orange is 3.3, reds are 5, yellows are 12. You only get 2 yellows on here. I might need more, but that's where these other connectors come in. There is, luckily, 2 Berg for floppy, and that's where I was wondering about this thing, this sideboard. You can take a 5 or 12, whatever, a Berg connector for a floppy, stick it in here, and it kind of hubs the power. That's what this is. You don't have to use this. It's isolated with a piece of plastic against the stainless, and you can remove it with 2 screws if you wanted to use your drive tray and not use this. This is optional, not required. The tick board inside is going to need a -12 because that's how it creates -5. Difference with this power supply versus a real one is this is opened up and you have a shield here. I don't know how restrictive this is going to be, and I even thought about rounding it out so I can use it like the original with the grill. But I guess if you don't have a 3000 power supply and you wanted something, you didn't have it, and you don't have that little grill because maybe they're hard to find, I don't know. One thing, so I mean, it is going to restrict some air, but with a pusher fan in the front, which the 3000 never had, it's going to move a lot more volume. I really like the treated stainless steel. Because I can put my fingerprints all over it, I'm going to wipe it off anyway, and I don't have to worry about rust. Just like that, I'm back. It's been 2 or 3 weeks since I last checked in, and I've learned a little bit more about this board. Whoop, I just dropped the screws. Never see those again. Damn it. Drop the screw. Oh, there it is. So if I haven't iterated how this came about, this was an A1K post from Mr. Szymon Gosk. I'll put his freeze frame that right there for a second for you, and that's the contact information on how to get one of these. So, I was confused as anything on this, and I want to show you a couple things that I've learned. See that little circuit board at the top right there? Since modern power supplies don't give a -5 volt, that's what this board does. It also doesn't have a tick signal, which the Amiga requires. Yes, you can do VSync, and I've done that before. The idea for the 3000 is to have this all in one thing. I need to take this power supply apart. This is the one I purchased with it. I got the connectors and the pin for the Amiga 3000 power supply. Connectors I bought 4 of, and it has a Mauser part number of 571 172 1711. The matching pins are socket 20-16 AWG minimum from TE Connectivity, Mauser part number 571-171 6391. They're listed with the sockets. So that's the actual Amiga 3000 socket, and apparently they're still made. I'm just gonna Lorena the crap out of them all the way across, and there you go. If I can get the wires addressed better. Okay, I'm also going to take this thing out, so now we can undo her hair, let her hair down, and separate these loads a little bit better. I also got 2 Noctua fans. I got a 40, little bookshelf, tiny thing with all these connectors and rubber standoffs and thing, and I got an 80 Noctua fan for the back. There we go. It'll sit in there like that. I'm done. That came out easy. Alright. There's my holes. So I just dropped something. Now please note, when you're dealing with electricity, you can kill yourself if you're an idiot or do something wrong. So please keep that in mind. If you pin this up incorrectly or wire your mains incorrectly, you can really do some harm to either your house, your electrical panel, your circuit, or your own heart. So please be careful when working with electricity.
You can't fix stupid.
Where my finger is here, those 2 holes, neutral and line, they were pegged in, so I'm going to peg them in too. I just happen to have a nice kit from our friends at Micro Center. Some old Radio Shack solder 6040 tin lead rosin core from 1968. and we got the old thick girls back in. So the blue here at the top, and then the brown, so neutral and low line, and they're in there with their connectors that were snipped off. Just some Chinese crap. The ground, I ended up twisting, soldering in a lead off of the ground, which I'm going to loop back around and use as the screw. I need to pre-wire up this connector and the switch. This is like a multi-hour project. This is not a fast project at all, so when you think you're going to be doing this quickly, you're not. It's just going to be messy in here. I'm going to try and do as much as I can without putting the power supply in the unit, because then I don't have no room. That little board has a 60 on it. That's because I'm in America where Jesus lives, and we run off of 60 hertz. If you are not, you're 50. This is where it's going to be weird. This negative 12 line, I only have one of. Why would they only give me one negative 12? Okay, so I cleaned this up a lot. I pulled off a whatever sense wire here in purple. I pulled off a brown, which is a +5 USB. And I pulled off a gray, which was, I don't know, something else I wasn't using. I forget. Anyway, I wasn't using it. 3.3 volt sense. So yeah, I pulled these 3 wires out, which leaves me normal-ish. So again, these yellows are 12. These are 3.3. I don't need these. I was thinking about taking these out. Grounds. Yep. 5 volt. We have blue, which is my negative 12, green, which is my power button, and a fan. That's it. These can come out. These 3.3s can come out. The only 3.3 I need is on this, and I don't even really need that for a hard drive. So I'm going to take these 3.3s out. They're the big orange ones. There it is. Look at that. Look at that massive thing. So they wrapped it in a plug and then just stuck it in there and soldered it together. I gotta wire the fans up, and that's where these plugs are. That's front and rear fan here. All right, so next up, after removing all the extra wires, now I have wires. I'm gonna use the brown for my tick because that's what the Amiga's one was. That'll be my tick pin. It only comes out of this little, I don't know, buck converter thing. And yeah, it's gonna give me my -5. It's gonna take -12, downstep it to -5, and also generate a tick signal. So I'll have to come out a tick on the end pin. So I gotta pin these. These are just fun. It's been hours. It's not complicated. It's just tedious and extremely time consuming. Was just doing some mathemagicals here. Fired up Sprint Layout Viewer. I got the tick, I got the ground, and a 5 volt in there. The problem is it also needs a 12. No big deal there. And which leaves me with 4 5 volts left. And that's a problem because the 3000s header uses 6. Since the blue wire is -12, I'm going to use purple as the -5. So I am in a pickle for 5 volt lines. I might have to split one, like I'm going to have to split the -12. Alright, so here's an update. I took my -12 line and I cut it in half, and I used my purple, and I put the other piece on, right? So I have basically 2 -12s. The purple one's going to go to the power supply connector for the motherboard. This one will go to the converter dude for my -5. And I did the same thing for the 5 volt line here. It is 11 o'clock at night, actually 10 after. I got the little connector wired up from left to right. It is 12 volt, -12 volt. So this is my -5. I gotta label this. And I have a 5 volt, a ground, and a tick. So there's my tick. So there's my 6 for my power supply, which I'll have to make them the same length. Okay, it's just harder to film. Other ground strap is in down there. See that green? Okay. God almighty. Now for the Noctua 80. So I'm going to sacrifice the inner rubbers because they're not mounted anyway, and that doesn't matter. So you pull those off and then it'll fit. It'll fit proper. There we go. Yeah. Good morning from the next morning. Yeah. It's 11 o'clock. Anyway, I put the power switch in and we are ready for a test. I have the mains hooked up. Don't worry about this. I'm going to pre-turn this on. It's controlled by that switch. Here we go. This is either going to scare the living shit out of me or work. It works. Front and back fans are spinning. Correct direction. We have some lights on the inside. I don't want to touch it yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ground my table out here and touch power supply on voltage to make sure I am not getting any volts on. We're getting no voltage on the power supply, so it's safe to touch. There are some lights going on in here. Check this out. See that? Those are the 12 volt and 5 volt LEDs for the fan. You can hear it running. Success. That's good. The only thing left is to wire up the plug for the 3000. Alright, let's check some voltages here. Should be negative 12. Negative 11.6. This should be negative 5 if I have any wire exposed. Negative 502. That's good. These, of course, sorry, these are 5. 513. These are grounds. These are 12s. I don't have any exposed wire. I can probably squish one on this. 12.2. And our negative 12 is here. It's negative 11.6. So we're good on voltages. Fine by me. It works. At least it works. Okay, that was a fun mission. It's not hard. It's just a lot of wires, and you're going to confuse yourself. Now this is my tick signal. Alright, so we're at 2.48 volts on that tick line times 12 volt power supply. Should give me about 30 hertz. And then we double that for my clock. And that's 59.52 hertz. So that's close to 60 for me. And that is redneck math. Power supply works. Now my next step is to take a break and work on some other things while I get this wire mess sorted out and start plumbing these wires into a 3000 connector. I'm not going to bore you with it because it's me fidgeting with dill pickles and little metal parts putting a wire in. I'm going to solder every single wire to that connector. Hello, it's Friday. I'm working on this power connector still. These are a pain in the rear end. I took my connector here and put it in an Amiga 3000 motherboard and wrote on it 5, like, there you go. Side with the dude with the clicky thing, they're all 5. Flip her over to the dark side, you can see starting from left to right, plus 12, negative 12 tick, 5 and negative 5. So that's your, and the center is all ground. So here's a little bit more of that tip. You can see this is very hard to film because I'm so close up. Okay, so this is the letter M fold, holds the wire in. I crimp these together and I solder all of this. Drip some down here to hold the wire into this thing. And then of course it is held on with that M clamp. The little rocket fins here, I always just make sure that they're out all the way like so before I stick it in there. That way it lances in and it's nice and firm. 8:01 p.m. Just finished. I just powered through it. There we go. So this was a royal pain in the butt. Pieces of heat shrink, put it on there and heat shrink it closed. That way it is, ouch, pinched out, closed, so we don't have any risk of wire bumping. You never know. It's better to be safe than stupid. That's nice. Clip it so it's sharp so when you reach in you scratch yourself. A little better. Got some wire ties here to keep this area kind of clean. It does have a 3D printed grommet for wire chunking, but it doesn't prevent any pullage. Like, You just got to be careful with it. But it matches the 3000. It's machined metal. It's smooth surfaces. You're not going to cut yourself. The best part, it's stainless steel, and I can touch the crap all over it and not have to worry about rust. So that has been the new 3000 power supply, pure ATX, and this ran me a pretty penny. This was like 165 or 185 total dollars because it was euros, and in America I get like totally pooched on with the euro conversion. Energize mains. Power is on. Now what I'm going to do is test this connector. So we're going to ground in the center, if these will even fit. This is 5 volts, 5.13. This is 5 volts, 5 volts again, 5 volts again, and 5 volts again. Flip her over, ground in the center. Oh my god, this is hard. Yep. This will be positive 12. 12.27. This will be negative 12. Negative 11.6. This will be tick. 2.56 times your mom. This will be 5 volts, and this will be negative 5 volts. Bingo! One Amiga 3000 power supply. But this will be here for the bench work, so we have a brand new power supply when we bench test 3000s. There's no worries with old power supplies or risking me burning out my own stuff. Even though this is my own stuff, it's easier to replace. Well, it won't be easy because it's all hardwired. It would be easier or cheaper. It would be less expensive, let's say, to build this again with a replacement power supply now that I have the hard chassis and I know we can buy these no problem. It's just a little bit of time work to get it involved. You can buy these in 60 hertz or 50 hertz. All the links are in the description below. Thank you to everyone for hanging out with an old vet guy for a day. Until next time, this has been Dr. Chris. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something.